Hello and welcome to Tech 18. I am Adnan, and in this video we are going to discuss about how you can copy your data from KQL into OneLake so that you can delete all the data which is not available, like hot and cold, which we discussed in our earlier videos. Hot means it is a kind of recent 7 days of the data, and whatever data which we have after 7 days, before 7 days, it has to be loaded into OneLake as a kind of backup for our future reporting purpose. So in order to do that, we can do a different logic here. I will show you basically the two ways how we can do that in this video. If you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. Now let's get started. I shared my screen and I'm into my Fabric workspace, and here you can see there is a pipeline available which is I given a name PL machine 01 to OneLake 01 here. But if I open up this pipeline, as usual we need to add the step-by-step processes here. So first of all, I add here copy activity and then wait, and then there is a notebook here. So what I'm doing up here is I just use here activities, and then we can see this copy activity. So once I do so, it is going to open up this window here where I can add through a wizard, or else I can also add through directly from this property pane also. So here that's what I have given up here. I just given a name here copy underscore KQL underscore 2 underscore OneLake, and then this is activated, and these are all the default one. And in the source one, I used here the connection which is the KQL here. So you can just select your connections what you have. If it is not, then you can just click on more here, and then you can select your data source here. So here in this case I use my KQL, which is you can see it here OneLake, and then from here you can select your sources. That's simple as that. So KQL machine. So that is what I have selected here, KQL machine. And inside to that it is asking whether you want to use a table or you want to add a query here. So basically I need the table to copy the data directly. So I'm using up here the table which is machine log 01. That's the table available in my KQL DB here. So in the advanced tab is nothing but it's a query timeout, and the no truncation option is turned on. And in the destination one, same thing, I just need to click on more and then select my Lakehouse here. And from here I am just selected here to be tables itself. I don't want to copy this into files. I directly want to copy it into the Delta table itself. So this is the one which is machine log 01 underscore raw. So I'm just copying entirely the same content what we have in KQL into this Lakehouse as is here. So I'm using up this continuous table, and in the advanced tab is here table action. So what you want to do, whether you want to append the data or you want to overwrite the data here. Here in this case I am using up here overwrite the data because this is kind of temporary locations which I want to here. Let's say for example this is I'm going to schedule at every 24 hours. In that case, whatever data we have on the KQL, it's going to copy that data and load it into this particular table. And from here I will do the processes using this notebook, and then do the process to actually store the real data what and how I need for our analytic purpose. So that's the reason I'm using up here as an overwrite option. And if you want to do a kind of partitions, so I will talk about that, what is the reason of partition here. So create partition in folder structure based on one or multiple columns. Each distinct column value pair will have a new partition. Example, if you want to go by year, month or day level, it can support the partition so that it can help bring up those partitions and speed up the read capability here. And it supports insert only mode and requires an empty directory in sync here. So for now I'm not going to much detail about the partitions. So it's just about segregating, splitting your tables into different partition way, the grouping option like year, month basis, so that you can reduce your data volume at one partition. So I'm using up here, and here the next thing here mapping here. So whatever the column which we have it on the KQL DB, I want to map the same thing to the OneLake as well. So it's everything is same here, only the data type of the column is changing up here because the KQL has a different structure, it's a dynamic, and whereas here on the OneLake I am specifying that table name here, all these things. So this is all it is. And then in the setting tab, if you want to intelligent throughput optimization, so all others are default custom, so I will not talk about these things. So if you want to go me on the detail level of all these things, please let me know in the comment section below. I will try to cover that in the future videos. So once this is copying the data, So maybe this will take, because of the huge volume of the data, it will take few seconds to load that. So that's the reason. And the next step which I added here is a kind of wait activity. So there is a wait activity available on the more options under the activity section. So once you click on that, it's add up here. So the success on this copy activity, I just drag and drop this into this wait activity. So where it is actually giving up here the settings, it is asking me to, I just added here 60 seconds. So I want this to wait for 60 seconds once the data is being copied during that period. And after that, once the 60 seconds is over, I'm actually adding up a new activity which is calling a notebook here. It's nothing but I have the notebook icon here. If I click here, I have just given up a name here, KQL to one lake. And also the settings tab, I need to select that Lakehouse, that notebook option here. So I'm selecting up the workspace, and from that I'm using up here notebook KQL to one lake _ 01. So this is the notebook which I'm actually using up in order to run this one. So what this actually does, let's figure it out. In the filter tab, I'm also selecting here the notebook, and what's the name here, KQL to one lake. If I select on this one, what it actually does, so let me hide this one. So this is a lengthy code here. I will try to explain here one by one. So what we actually does is not much complex here. So first of all, I'm importing the pandas library and then PySpark SQL statement for this one, and then I'm initializing this here. So Spark session that builder.app name, I'm just giving up a get or create with this Spark, initializing a Spark session, and then I'm using up here the path from that Lakehouse here. So these two are basically the path of those tables. One is the real actual file which I need for analytic purpose. Another is a temporary table which we use here in the copy activity. So both the table data I'm actually loading up into a different data frame here. That's what I'm given up here. IoT sensor log _ data frame and raw _ logs data frame. So now after that, convert the Spark data frame to pandas data frame for comparison. So pandas actually works better in order to compare the two tables to data. So that's the reason I'm converting this here into pandas data frame here. So IoT sensor name dot here to pandas here. So to pandas. So it means it converts the data into pandas data frame here. So actually I have given up these two names here, and now we need to differentiate these two things here. So the next step here is missing identity records here. So I'm just comparing these two tables in that pandas data frame, which is the raw logs.pd, which is this one, and is in which, and then which is here the name of the another table which is here IoT sensors _ log. So it is comparing the raw, which is the new one, comparing to the existing table which is the real table here, and then convert the missing record back to Spark data frame here. So far we use pandas data frame in order to compare the tables. So once we have the data, then we'll convert it back into Spark data frame here. So missing records equal to spark.create data frame which equal to missing records. So we have this information. So as we are doing up this process, I'm using up a print function because I just want to make sure what is actually the scenario here. So while this is loading, we'll also have a look into the other steps here. So we are using up here append missing record to IoT sensor log. So whatever data is missing, we'll append the data from these missing tables into the real table, and after that we'll need to clear all the data which is available on the temporary table. So that's why clear all tables from the machine log raw, and then we'll run this script in order to empty that particular table's data frame here. So right now, first of all, we'll check for the count here. So we have like 600,000 records, and then raw log count is 1686 and the missing record is 1096 here. I just have commented few script here, which is the printing of all this information, and then uncommented few things, which is the missing record.spark format. This is just going to append the data from this temporary data frame into the real table in one lake, and after that the next two lines, which is basically going to clear the data from these temporary tables here. So this data frame we are actually going to overwrite into that particular Lakehouse path here. So I've just modified this script. Now let's have a run the real one lake itself. I mean the real pipeline itself. So I'm now into my pipeline, and just into home activity we can also click on run here. If you want to schedule that, you can also click on the schedule job, but for now I just want to use here run. So let's see how this works. So this is now running in queue, and if I click on this activity name, it will give the breakup of that. Alright, it's ran succeeded here. If I go back here, so copy to KQLDB succeeded here, and if I click on this path, it is giving me message here. The rows read is 2294 so far, and it has row return is also 2294. So it means totally it has copied from this one and written it back to the Lakehouse, all this table here. That's amazing. And let's have a look into the other parts as well. So this copy activity is tick here, which is successfully done. Wait is also done, which is successfully done. And also this one, the notebook activity is also done, which is also showing up here. Now, if I want to monitor this notebook activity, let's have a look into this monitor tab in this one. If I click on this more option, I can see this monitor here. If I click here, then we'll see the list of available options here. So this is the one data pipeline which is showing up here. It's showing up even though not started, but let's have a look into this one. Yeah, that's for the time here, 11:39 and 11:40 it has completed here. Everything is showing up here completed. This is the recent run, right? So this two is showing up here inactive. What is the reason behind that is, as you can see it here, it is showing up here on the gray lines here. I mean the gray color. So if I click on this part and then or else if I go back to this one, which is the pipeline, update pipeline. If I click on this activity and open up this settings pane, here you can see the general tab. And here it's showing up here deactivated. So I deactivated this one just to copy the data from KQL to OneLake here, not about these two things. So let's activate this and you can see the color change to white again. And also for the same for notebook, activate these things and now save this pipeline and let's rerun again. Okay, so the copy activity is completed now and I've just given here to wait for 60 seconds, then we need to wait for 60 seconds. I will fast forward this one in order to save your time. As you can see, these two are in green tick, which means it has two of them are successfully completed, and now we are into running this notebook here. This notebook ran failed, and if I click on this failed message box, notebook execution failed, service with status 200, please check your run logs on the notebook addition details, error name missing records _ spark not defined. If I click here and then click on this part and then monitor, so here you will see this notebook activity. So let to refresh it here and now you can see I have this notebook activity which is failed here. This is now going to open up the notebook and then we'll see this detailed error message here. As per the list of job, I can see it is everything is successfully completed here, but not sure why this is giving up this error message. But still, if I look into this one KQL activity, it has copied 2300 records from here to here. That's fine. And let's have a look into this notebook manually itself, which is this one. So if I just rerun this one on this particular notebook itself, let's see what it actually gives as the result for now. Alright, this job is completed successfully, but somehow this is giving an error message on the pipeline activity, but still it is successfully completed here. Yeah, that's good. So the one more thing which I want to highlight to you is if I go here to my KQL database, and from here also we have an option about create a notebook here from within the KQL database itself. For somehow this is not working, maybe this is the new upcoming feature from Microsoft. So if it is come, then we can directly copy it from here into the OneLake hub using the notebook itself. And then we can directly do all this stuff which is comparing of these tables and all this stuff here. Because of this non-availability on my machine currently, I am using this copy activity KQL to OneLake and from there I am using up here notebook. But if I have this one, then I can directly use the notebook in just one notebook, and that if I run on a schedule basis, it will extract the data from this KQL and load it into OneLake table, and from there I can do the comparison and insert into the original table here. So this is how you can able to do this data movement from KQL. Hot data is still in the KQL and cold data into OneLake storage for you. So this can be helpful in your analytic purpose, and this is what we are going to use in our future Power BI videos here. So I hope you got a clarity about what actually I am trying to show you here. Even though it is not entered in a well manner, that not a successful one, I will try to look for the solution in future videos. But the main concept which I want to showcase you, this is how we can able to do this activity here. If you like this video, just click on the big thumbs up button. If you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. But make sure you turn on the notification on your devices. Share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any queries and feedback, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. See you in the next video.